The man named Ryland stepped through the cracked archway of the ancient hall, his boots brushing against dust that shimmered like cold silver under the faint glow of bioluminescent vines. His breath slowed as he advanced across the silent floor because he knew someone watched him. Every instinct said the gaze came from a presence strong enough to bend empires and old enough to have forgotten how to doubt itself. That presence was the ruler of the Vare dominion. She waited on the raised dais beyond the fractured pillars, surrounded by drifting strands of blue light that curled like living smoke. Ryland had seen many worlds, but none had carried an atmosphere quite like this hall. The air tasted of old storms and the residue of decisions that shaped galaxies. The alien queen rose as he approached. Her height surpassed any human by several heads, and her form carried both grace and severity. She had 4 eyes arranged in 2 diagonal pairs. Her skin reflected deep amethyst hues when the hall lights shifted, yet its surface bore ridges that spoke of battles, lineage, survival, and generations of hardship. Despite the rumors told of her, Raylan saw only a sovereign weighed by duty. She stood with her chin raised, though one could tell she did not expect kindness from any visitor. Ryland stopped a respectful distance from the dais. His voice remained calm. He spoke of peace, of bridges, of the unnecessary tension between their star systems. The Queen listened without interruption. The hall felt as if it held its breath. The drifting light strands dimmed and brightened in quiet pulses. Ryland delivered every sentence with steady clarity because he knew fear would weaken his purpose. Humanity sought alliance, not dominance. He believed the Vare did as well, though centuries of war stories had buried that belief under dust thick as this hall. When he finished, he waited. She stepped down from the dais, her movements soundless. Her 4 eyes studied him as if she searched for the flaw hidden behind his words. She halted only an arm's length away from him. Her voice carried a melodic roughness. She asked why he looked at her with no revulsion. She asked why he spoke to her as if she were not the terror whispered across space lanes. She asked why he did not tremble. Ryland saw the tension behind the questions. The Queen had likely endured countless meetings where fear shaped every expression around her. He answered with honesty. He admired the strength she represented. He respected the burden she carried. He valued the courage it took for her to speak of peace. Her reaction was immediate. Her brow ridges tightened. Her jaw set in disbelief. She asked if he deliberately taunted her. She insisted he must be mocking her appearance because no human described her kind with admiration. She stepped closer and lowered her face to meet his eyes. Her 4 pupils narrowed like storm shadows. She asked for the truth. She demanded to know why he called her beautiful. He smiled. It was not a smug grin or a careless smirk. It was the type of smile one offers when recognizing something rare. His voice was gentle. He said beauty did not belong to one shape or one species. He said beauty lived in character, in the lines earned through trials, in the strength to endure. He said she stood in front of him as a ruler who carried her people through ages of turmoil. That alone made her beautiful. The Queen froze. No one had ever dared tell her such words without fear or motive. The hall lights pulsed with slow waves, as if reacting to the shift in atmosphere. The Queen stepped back as if unsure how to handle his sincerity. She had been raised in an era when appearance determined respect and strength determined value. Her line of queens carried traditions older than most civilized worlds. Yet none of those traditions prepared her for this human who spoke without hesitation or deception. Ryland remained calm. He did not reach for his weapon because he felt no threat. He simply waited for her answer. Something in his stillness unsettled her. The Queen turned away and walked toward a curved wall etched with ancient sigils. These sigils told the story of her ancestors, each curve representing battles, treaties, and sacrifices. She lifted a hand to touch the oldest of the marks. She spoke softly. She said her people considered the ridges on their skin a record of flaws and victories. She said each generation carried the marks of the last. She believed the weight of those markings made her monstrous to humans. Rylan approached, but remained respectful. He told her humanity carried scars too, some visible, some hidden. He said strength came from accepting every part of oneself. She turned to face him again. Her voice wavered. She asked how he could speak such words without fear. He answered that he judged individuals, not rumors. Her expression shifted. Confusion, conflict, vulnerability. She walked past him and ascended the dais again. The drifting light strands brightened as she stood beneath them. She asked him why he believed alliance between their people could work. Rylan spoke of shared goals, of trade, of scientific exchange, of exploration beyond known stars. He said trust began with conversation. The Queen watched him in silence for a long moment. Then she declared she would test his sincerity. She clapped her hands. The doors behind him burst open. A squad of Veyer guards marched inside, their armor gleaming like molten metal. They formed a circle around Rylan. He stood without drawing any weapon. The Queen ordered her guards to examine his responses. Not his words, his reactions. She wanted to know if he remained composed under pressure. She wanted to know if he spoke truth or fear disguised as diplomacy. The guards moved closer. One reached toward his shoulder. Rylan did not flinch. The Queen observed him with sharp focus. She ordered them to step back. They obeyed. She asked him why he trusted her not to harm him. He said trust required risk. She studied him with her 4 eyes narrowing again. She admitted no visitor had ever held steady in front of her guards. She descended from the dais. Her voice softened. She asked again why he called her beautiful. Rylan did not hesitate. He told her again that beauty was not shape but spirit. The Queen bowed her head slightly. Something in her posture shifted from regal certainty to quiet reflection. She confessed she had never considered herself anything other than a weapon crafted by heritage. Rylan told her she was more than that. She stepped closer, close enough that he saw the fine shimmering texture across her skin. She whispered that no one had ever spoken to her in this way. The hall grew silent. Even the drifting strands of light held stillness. The Queen took a slow breath. She asked if he truly believed peace between their species was possible. He answered yes. She looked at him with all 4 eyes, searching for deceit. She found none. She stepped back and raised her head in a new posture. Not suspicion, not superiority. Something calmer, something open. The Queen declared that she would consider an alliance. Rylan nodded with gratitude. She lifted a hand as if to signal the guards, but instead she gestured for them to leave the hall. When the great doors shut behind them, only she and the human remained in the vast space. She walked toward the wall of sigils again. She traced the marks with her fingers. She said she wanted him to understand the history of her people. She said alliance required understanding, not blind agreement. Rylan listened as she described the centuries of conflict that shaped her people. She spoke of ancient enemies, lost colonies, and harsh cosmic storms that carved entire cities into ruins. Her voice carried the weight of memory. Yet beneath that weight, Rylan heard something else. Hope. A hope she never allowed herself to acknowledge. When she finished, she turned to him and asked if he believed he could respect her history. He answered yes. She stepped closer. Her voice dropped to a softer tone. She admitted she feared misunderstanding more than war. She said misinterpretation had destroyed more alliances than hostility. Rylan assured her he would learn everything he could. She nodded, but did not speak for a moment. Her 4 eyes drifted downward. She asked again why he called her beautiful. Her voice almost trembled. Rylan smiled again. This time the queen did not recoil. Instead, she observed the warmth in his expression. She asked what beauty meant to humanity. Rylan explained it meant admiration grounded in character. He explained it meant respect shaped by truth. He explained it meant recognizing strength where others failed to see it. She looked at him with a new gaze. A quiet gaze. A questioning gaze. She walked past him and stopped near the hall entrance. She said she must decide whether to allow him into the inner chambers of the palace. Those chambers held secrets vital to her rule. No outsider had entered them in many generations. She turned to him. She said trust must be mutual. She asked if he would allow her to see the scars he carried. He paused but nodded. He removed his outer coat, revealing the old burn marks left from a crash during a rescue mission years ago. The queen studied the marks with all 4 eyes. She reached out but stopped before touching. She asked if they caused him pain. He answered sometimes. She said pain carried memory. She said memory carried strength. She stepped back. She told him he carried scars with pride. He replied he carried them with acceptance. The queen nodded. She led him toward the inner chambers. The corridors beyond the hall glowed with gentle violet light. Strange symbols spiraled along the walls. Rylan walked beside her in silence. She seemed calmer now, more grounded. She said she wanted him to witness the heart of her people's culture. She opened a circular door that slid aside to reveal a chamber filled with floating sea.